Hi guys, it's Kirsten. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we're doing something a bit different and we are ranking the book series that I've read. Now I will put a couple of disclaimers in. I'm not including books where I did not finish at least the first one, and I am including series that I haven't finished yet but that I have high hopes for. So let's get to it. So the first series is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. Now I'll be honest, I really didn't like the first book and the other two I did enjoy. So I think I'm going to put it as a series overall. It was good. I do enjoy it, but that first one not so much. I am planning on rereading it, so it may boost it up. Then we have A Series of Unfortunate Events. This was just an enjoyable kids read, finding out what's happening to the Baudelaire children. I thought it was really good. 50 Shades of Grey. This was a hype read at the time. I did end up reading all three of the books, but honestly there's nothing really to the story at all. Yeah, I'm gonna put in awful because there really isn't anything to that story. Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. This is a book where I've only read the first one, but I found it really enjoyable. I loved the Korean mythology elements to this. There is a second book coming out later this year that I'm looking forward to reading, and I've got high hopes. Depending on how the book goes will depend on whether this changes, but for now I'm really enjoying it. Name of the Wind is amazing. I know we're still waiting on that third book. It's been 10 years now since the second book, but it is just amazing. I love these books so much. There's the two other short novellas that go alongside this as well, which if you haven't read, I do suggest. Honestly, really great book. Really great series. Throne of Glass is also amazing. I loved this. The first few books are a bit slower, but the last, like once you get past the third one, is so good. There's so much that happens in it. I really enjoy it. Okay, so Gracelyn, this is a difficult one. I really enjoyed the second one in this, which is Fire, and it takes place before Gracelyn, even though Gracelyn's first. I do enjoy how Gracelyn and Fire work together, but then I really didn't like Bitter Blue at all, and I have since unhauled these, although I would potentially get Fire again. But as a series overall, I think it's just okay. Like, it was good, it was interesting, but yeah, that's about it. Okay, Darker Shade of Magic by V. Schwab. This was super enjoyable. I really loved the idea of having the 3 different Londons and how you can travel between them, and I just thought it was a really good series. It does remind me of Howl's Moving Castle now that I've seen that film, but I still enjoyed this series on its own. I just think it's really good, really interesting. I thought it was really unique. Three Dark Crowns. Okay, so this is a book series by Kendara Blake. I really enjoyed the first 2 books in this series. I thought it was really good, but then I kind of felt like it was kind of let down a little bit, especially that last one. It is good. I will still read them. Yeah, I think I'll put it as good because there's a lot of stuff that I like about it. I like the fact that you've got the 3 sisters who are all fighting for the throne, and they have to kill each other to see who ends up as queen, and I do like that whole side of things, and I like the magic system that they have, but the thing that stops it from being higher is the way it ended. It was just too rushed. So yeah. Okay, Miss Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children. This was really enjoyable. I also enjoyed the film, but I kind of see the film as different because it is so different to these books. I have only read the first 3. I know there's more books in this, but I've only read the first 3. They are good. I enjoy them. It's something I'll potentially continue. So yeah, I think that's an easy, solid one. And I Darken. Okay. And I Darken is by Kirsten White. This is a Vladimir retelling with a gender switch. Yeah, a gender twist, and it's super interesting. I really like it, but I have to be in the mood for it. I think I'm going to put it as good because it is a good series, but I do have to be in the mood for it. Warrior Cats is just amazing. If you haven't read it, go read it. It's such a great, I mean, I prefer it to the Harry Potter series, which I don't even have the Harry Potter series on here, although Harry Potter series would be an amazing, but never mind. Okay, The Magician's Guild by Trudy Caravan. I think that's good. It was interesting. I don't remember too much about it, but I do know it's about this girl that ends up being in the Magician's Guild, who then finds that things aren't quite as they seem, and it is good. I do think Trudy Caravan is a bit of an underrated author, but I couldn't tell you much more than that about the books. Vicious. Okay, so this is by V.E. Schwab as well, and Vicious on its own was so enjoyable. However, Vengeful I just felt like wasn't needed at all. Like, it was okay, but it wasn't amazing at all. Like, the characters are still good, the world building's still good, but I just felt like it was a bit pointless, and I don't know if I'm going to enjoy the third book. I'm going to put it as good for now because I do enjoy reading the first one, and the second one kind of lets it down, so it's kind of balancing it out. But depending on how that third book goes, this could be lower. Continuing on with V. Schwab, we have Archived. So this is a duology with Dark Vault. So we have Archived and... Christ, I've forgotten the second book name, but I wasn't as big a fan of the second book. I think it's okay. It's a good YA... Yeah, it's a good YA duology. It's got an interesting premise, but again, that second book really lets it down, and it wasn't as good as Vicious to start off with, so it's okay. Hunger Games is also okay. I know a lot of people like it, but dystopian, it's one of those, it's hit or miss with me, and it was okay, and I enjoyed it while I read it, but it's not something I would reread again. Alice by Christina Henry. Now, this is a series that when I first read Alice, I thought was absolutely amazing, but Red Queen and Looking Glass were just okay. I think as a series overall, it's good, but it could have been so much better. But they do feel like completely separate books. Like, Alice feels very different to Red Queen, and if it wasn't for that, this would be amazing, but unfortunately it is. Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. This was absolutely enjoyable. This has potential to be amazing, I won't lie. I really enjoyed this first book. We follow a kitsune and a samurai, and they're trying to find pieces of a dragon scroll. It's really enjoyable. There's funny moments in it. There is amazing fight scenes in here. There's just so much that happens, and it ends on a cliffhanger. This could be amazing, but I don't want to say that just yet because I haven't even read the second book, so I would definitely put it as enjoyable for now. Hush Hush. This is something I read when I was a teenager, and I absolutely loved it. I even named our dog Patch after one of the main characters because his name was Patch. But I never read the rest of the books. Like, I loved this one. I tried reading the second one, but I ended up not finishing it. I think it's okay. Or is it bad? Because I never carried on. This book on its own is okay, but I think as a series it's bad because I didn't enjoy the second book, so... Stalking Jack the Ripper is enjoyable. Kerry Van Lisco is one of my new favourite authors who's now an auto-buy. I really like her books. This was a really interesting murder mystery series that I'm excited to now see what she's going to do coming up with her new book that she's got coming out this year. So this was a good series though. Vampire Academy, it kind of went with Hush Hush. This was a really long series, and I actually read quite a lot of them, so I can put it in okay. But after a while I just kind of gave up, and again, they're not books that I would go back to. They're ones that I enjoyed at the time because that's what I was interested in while I was a teenager. But yeah, it's not something I'd reread, so they were okay. This Savage Song was really enjoyable. I loved this by V. Schwab. This was a brilliant duology, and we have this world where if you commit a crime, so whether it's violence or murder, or depending on the severity, a different monster will be made, and these monsters are kind of overruling this world, and it's so interesting. I really enjoyed this actually, and it's not even got a happy ending. It's one of those endings where you're really upset and you wish it changed, but it's still really good. Red Queen, this is bad. I actually read all of the books in this series, but even while I was reading them, I was thinking to myself, why am I reading this? I think it was just one of those things that I was really in a reading mood and I decided to buy the books, and I thought, why not? But it is just really bad. Like, it's not a series that I can get on with, and I couldn't even tell you what they're about, so yeah. Okay, so we have the House of Night series. This is a bit like Vampire Academy. There's so many books. I think I got up to book 13 before I then just gave up. I don't know where to put this. It's either okay or bad. Because, again, it's one of those things that I just don't remember a lot of. I think I'm going to just put in bad. It was okay at the time. I was interested in it at the time. But thinking about it, it's kind of like Red Queen in the sense that it's not something I'd ever reread again. I think it's brilliant for a teenager, but it's such a long series and it was kind of getting a bit more outlandish each time, so I think I'll just leave that as bad. Twilight, I'm going to put as awful. Again, it's one of those things I read at the time because of the hype, but the actual problems with this book, I just don't like the whole relationship between Bella and Edward. I just think it was really too controlling and too forced, and I just, yeah, I didn't enjoy it. Looking back on this is not something I'd ever reread. Okay, L.E. Smith. Now, she has done The Vampire Diaries, and she's also had Night World series. My favourite of hers was the Dark Visions trilogy. I really enjoyed this. I think it's quite good, but her other books I'd probably just put as okay. I didn't put them in this just because this would go on for too long, but I enjoy them. This Dark Vision one is very different. It's not really about vampires and stuff at all, although that's what the other books are obviously about. Vampire Diaries is obviously about vampires. I gave up with that series because, again, a bit like House of Night, it went on for ages and it was getting a bit more outlandish. The Night World series was better and I enjoyed that one a bit more, but it was very repetitive. But the Dark Visions, I think that trilogy on its own is probably her best work. Smoke and Bone by Lini Taylor. This I'm going to put as okay. I remember enjoying the first book a lot, but then just kind of couldn't get on with the second and third books. She is a really good author, and I've just finished Strange the Dreamer, which, by the way, if that was on here, that would be amazing because that was so good. But for this one on its own, I just don't really remember too much about it, and yeah, I think it's okay. It was okay. Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson is amazing. I read the first 3 books. We have the 4th book coming out later this year. There is so much going on in this series that it's a bit too much to get into right now, but they are amazing books. If you haven't read Way of Kings, it's a massive book, and this is going to be a 10-book long series, but his Cosmo books are some of the best books I've ever read, and I really do enjoy this series. Carvel, I don't know if it's put in enjoyable or good. I enjoyed them, but this ending wasn't quite as fleshed out as what I would have liked, but I did still enjoy them. So yeah, I'll put it as enjoyable. We follow 2 sisters who end up in this carnival of sorts where anything can happen, but you have to remember it's just a game, and it kind of unfolds from there. It is enjoyable. Yeah, enjoyable. Cashel's Dart by Jacqueline Carey. I thought this was amazing. I read this while I was in college. There is a lot of sexual content, but the parts that I actually really liked the most was all about the politics to this. I think it's a really well thought out book. It's something that was so complex, and and I just really enjoyed it. I think this was my first dip into proper adult fantasy, and I've loved it ever since, really. She's done 2 other trilogies, but they're okay, they're not as good, but Cashel's Dart trilogy is the original trilogy and it's amazing. Ash Princess, this is just an enjoyable read. It's a YA trope filled story. We've seen it all before. It reminds me of Throne of Glass, but a lot more fast paced, and yeah, it was just enjoyable. I need to read the next 2 books in this series, but if it stays how it is at the moment, that's enjoyable. Shadow and Bone, again, that was really enjoyable. I don't know why I waited so long to read this trilogy. I still need to actually read the next 2, but from the first one, it's got quite a lot of promise. So this was an enjoyable read as well. And I liked the whole Grisha and the magic in this. I thought that was really well done. Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendara Blake. This was okay. I did enjoy reading this a lot when I was younger. I read it a couple of times, but now it's not something I would reread again. It's all about this boy who can see ghosts, and he travels around putting the ghosts to rest, and instead falls in love with this one. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, again, that's an amazing read. We're in this world where the bad guy has already won. There is a complex magic system, but it's really well thought out. There's clear limitations in place, and it's quite just a dark feeling fantasy that I just really enjoyed. Again, his Cosmo books, very good. And last but not least, we have Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. This could be amazing, but I haven't read the last one, and it can take me a little bit to get into it when I'm reading Red Sister, so I think I'll put it as enjoyable. It's all about killer nuns. So we follow this girl who is brought up in a nunnery, and she is and they're trained to be assassins, and it is really interesting. I'm excited to see how this trilogy finishes. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, don't forget to let me know and give it that thumbs up and subscribe. Have you done this before? I've seen a few other channels do this. I will have them linked below of where I got this idea from, and it was quite fun to do actually. Kind of awkward trying to set everything up so it all worked together, but it was a fun one. Let me know if you're interested in me doing this for some of the standalone books that I've read. I know as I was going through I'd missed off a few different series, but I didn't want this to be ridiculously long. As said, I hope you've enjoyed this. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. All my social media links to my Instagram, Twitter and Goodreads will be linked below, and I'll see you in the next one.